We recently checked out Mark Watson of Soldier Knows Best and his unboxing of the HTC One M8. And we wanted to get his firsthand thoughts on the new phone after using it for a few days. First off, thank you, Mark, for joining us, and thank you so much for your service.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad to be here.
Now, this is a $650 unlocked phone or $250 on contract, so it's definitely not a cheap one. Do you feel like it feels like it's worth that much?
Yeah, definitely when it comes from a hardware standpoint. I mean, it has the best build quality to me of any phone that I've ever felt. The all unibody design just really curves to your hand very nicely. And so when people look at this phone, it does look like a $600 phone. So that's one thing it really does have going for it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, what do you think of the size of this phone compared to the HTC One?
Well, it is bigger than the previous HTC One, and that's just one of my complaints. So it looks excellent, but I have rather large hands, but I still have a problem holding it. It just feels a little bit slippery in my hands. And I was just at a bar the other night, and I was scared to use it just one-handed because people were bumping into me, and it almost slipped out of my hand almost every single time. So it really forces you, I know. So it really forces you to use it with two hands. And so that's one thing that I'm pretty sure HTC kind of discussed and said, okay, we'll make it look great, but it may not feel the best in your hands. So that's just one of the trade-offs for it.
So one thing I noticed about this phone, they really seem to put a lot of focus on the camera. They have this thing called the camera duo. It sounds kind of odd to me. Is it any good?
It definitely helps focusing. I mean, it focuses very fast. And so I was just testing it actually today at the zoo. That's where I was today, just testing out some camera footage. And it's just amazing how fast it is. But the overall quality of the rear-facing camera really isn't that great. It still has the ultra-pixel camera, but it's just not really up to some of the standards from the iPhone 5S or the Samsung Galaxy S4 and the upcoming S5.
Oh, another thing that I was kind of curious about was U-focus, which is where you can change the focus to the upfront area after you take a photo. It sounds really interesting as well. Does it work?
Sometimes. It works sometimes. Yeah, the times I tested, I probably got one really good picture that I was able to change the focus, but the rest of the time it just really didn't work. And so just from the week I've been having the phone, I really haven't been using that feature that much just because of my first experience with that feature just wasn't really that great.
Now, Mark, I don't know about you, but I come from a Nexus line. I have a Nexus 5 right now, and I really like vanilla Android. Is HTC Sense hard to get used to at all for you?
It's not really hard to get used to. It's definitely a different flavor coming from stock Android, but this new HTC Sense, they really managed to kind of simplify that just a little bit. And so it's not, I mean, if you use any Android phone besides a stock Android phone, you're not going to have a hard time to really acclimate to it. So, but they really kind of fine-tune everything, and just really the speed of it as well. On top of the new processor, it's just really blazing fast when it comes to the software. I mean, as soon as you touch things, it really just, it's kind of hard because a lot of phones now have quad-core processors and they're really fast. Yes. But this the new HTC One M8 is probably the fastest phone that I've tested just from normal use during the day.
One thing I didn't notice about your unboxing was those front-facing speakers. Have you tried that out at all?
Yeah, I've actually played a couple games with them, and they're, to me, just as good as the previous boom sound speakers that were on the HTC One last year. So yeah, definitely the camera may be lacking, but HTC definitely has the best speakers on any phone. So if you like to listen to music or play games or watch movies, these speakers get extremely loud.
Yeah, speaking of movies, that screen resolution, it's 1920 by 1080, correct?
Yes.
Do you like it?
I like it. I like it. I mean, the problem with it is probably the main reason why the phone is bigger is because the screen is slightly bigger than the HTC One, the original HTC One. But the screen is beautiful. I mean, at this point, it's really hard to find a bad screen on a cell phone, and HTC is really just keeping pace with everybody else.
Hopefully tablets will get there soon as well. I've seen some pretty bad tablets recently.
Yeah, well, these phones are getting bigger and bigger, so they're definitely going to catch up to tablets in size, bro.
We're going to see some more phablets pretty soon. How about the battery life? Is it pretty good?
Excellent, excellent. And so I carry around my iPhone 5S with me while I test these other phones as well. I know people won't call me fanboy, but I carry around normally two phones. And so since I'm on Verizon, I have my HTC One M8 activated, and I've been using the mobile hotspot. I literally leave it on all day long, and this phone still lasts me an entire day with battery life. And I found myself only having to charge it really twice since I had the phone for a week. So battery life is really good. And they have the new power saving mode where, if you're coming down to probably around 10%, you can basically turn off everything but the core features like, phone calls and stuff like that, and really extend, 10% through an entire night. And that actually went through that this past weekend.
This sounds like a really nice phone for somebody I know who like constantly kills his phone every single day. I might have to I might have to check one of these out and maybe have to buy one. So what do you think HTC is going to come up with next? Because this one's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, again, hardware-wise, design standpoint, they're on it. The new HTC Sense is great. They're running on top of Android 4.4 KitKat. So software-wise, I think they're doing pretty good. It's just camera. That's really the big flaw of this phone is going to be the camera. I don't think they can get away with this ultra pixel camera in the next version of the HTC One. And also, too, I mean, they're probably going to be coming up with a mini version of this phone and also, a large version of this phone, the XL. But just really, I think bringing the size down just a little bit will really make a lot of people's complaint about this phone being slippery just really go away. But they're on the right track. They're on the right track. This phone is still very awesome, just has a couple of drawbacks.
All right, Mark, thank you so much again for joining us today on the show. And thank you so much for your input about the HTC One M8. Where can everyone find your work?
They can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Soldier Knows Best, Instagram.com/Mark Watson, and Twitter, Soldier Knows Best. Take the S off the end of the nose. Ran out of character. But yeah, just look for Soldier Knows Best. Google me and you'll find me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mark. It was great to talk to you again.